Good evening and welcome to the August 17th, 2011 Planning Board meeting. We have all but one member present this evening. Kurt has a meeting and he will not be here. He has an excused absence. We have no appointments this evening. Minutes of the previous meeting, I have a July 6th meeting minutes that I need to have approved. I will accept a motion on those minutes.
I would make that motion.
Frank has made it a motion to accept.
I'll second it.
Tim has seconded it. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? I'm abstaining. I wasn't here. Communications this evening, we have a memo from the Board of Selectmen, and it's a zoning request change for map 7, lot 23. The property is owned by, I believe, a Zoe Anderson is requesting the change of the selectmen, and they have sent it to us for our opinion and a report back from them. Tom, do you have any information you'd like to present on this?
Just to set the board in context, a couple of the maps that were submitted by the applicant are a little bit hard to read. So this is a community zoning map. The Zoe property is indicated so that you can get a good sense of the zoning that surrounds the property. And the request, as you see in the letter from the applicant that was forwarded to by the Board of Selectmen, was to switch it over to A&R, agriculture and residential, for the reasons so stated in the letter.
By the looks of this, this would be the only lot on that side of the road that would be in the A&R.
That's correct.
I'm not sure the orientation of this, but one side is completely A&R and the other is conservation.
Surrounded that conservation zone with, whatever it is.
It was prior to my coming on board with the town, but there must have been a rationale by the town to have forest and agricultural butt up to that conservation.
I probably thought it would protect it then.
Exactly. Given that in your forest and agricultural zone, you got 5-acre lots, and across the street, the A&R in that zoning is 80,000 square feet, approximately 2 acres. So it's 2-acre zoning in the lightly yellow shaded A&R zone.
That lot 23-1, was that split off in 23? Is that why it's numbered that way?
I looked at it and I couldn't figure out what it was a while back.
We'd have to check the deed research to answer that question, but it looks like that was part and parcel of the original parent parcel. So for clarity, the request by the applicant, as stated in the letter, is to request of the town to rezone just their property to agricultural and residential.
What's the board's pleasure?
There isn't any other mechanism for them to subdivide that lot into 2 house lots?
No, other than ask for a variance. But it would be difficult. I think it would be difficult to meet the hardship criteria.
Do we have any precedent for doing this at all?
Hmm?
Do we have any precedent for doing this on a single?
No, and I think if we start doing this, we start spot zoning. Personally,
I mean, I really feel bad.
I feel bad, but, I mean, you can see why it's zoned like that, and it makes sense to me if you start changing one.
and it was cut off at 5.6, so it had to be cut off after the 5-acre requirement. My guess is it would cut off at the 5-acre requirement, so that zone was done. So,
Oh,
And it is kind of a buffer zone too for that
that is,
conservation.
yeah.
mhm.
And if you start changing one, and another one, and another one, and the buffer's gonna be gone.
There's a lot of F&A zones and a lot of residents.
Is there any way that you could do a two-family on there?
The same density.
Same, yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna meet the
that's what it is.
density.
Well, other people do it.
In some cases,
Mother-in-law?
in this particular lot, I'm not sure what the ownership is behind that lot, but what people will try to do is to assemble enough acreage so that they can break it off. That's the only option that exists here, other than a rezoning, is to assemble adjacent vacant land.
What about like a mother-in-law apartment? Is that possible?
That would be a CEO question. Again, it's two uses.
Down to
I
really
don't think they have that in Waterboro.
Separate dwelling units.
change that
Oh,
whole
we
thing.
did.
didn't
Maybe you can,
Yeah,
I mean, I can tell
well,
you,
that's what we'll give them.
garages are turned into apartments.
I mean, it's already built down there.
Yeah.
There's gotta be a
All of them.
gazillion people down through there
So what
that
if-
wouldn't, I don't understand what the buffer
Yeah,
zone,
yeah, I mean,
what that gives you for a buffer
The
zone.
letter says the selectmen
Look at the
want to
size
look
of
at
these.
other lots in that area about zoning.
I didn't think they wanted to look at others in that area, but I
It said
could.
other possible changes in the same zone area.
If I may, Dave, I think the selectmen are setting a baseline that when change of zone applications come in for a singular lot, to look at the bigger picture, just like with the case with JDs, to look at the bigger picture. And I think that's what they're suggesting here, is that a singular request has come in, look at the possibility, is there a possibility to include other lots, and would that make sense? The only thing that I can come up with, and it's just part of the planning board process for evaluating a change of zone and fulfilling the selectmen's request, is that you logically, if you did change more than one, you'd want to change it up to the next nearest road, and this is what it would look like.
No, actually, if I was gonna change that, I'd change it all the way down through. Look at these lots down below, they're split every which way. It's not that we're not gonna face this for a million times in the next 20 years. So why not take the whole thing all the way down through to where it gets to be larger acres and just make it all A&R?
Up to middle.
What's
Because then
the
you're gonna
history
lose your buffer
of
to
that being
conservation.
F&A? I mean, why was that specific, I mean, that's very specific, that side of the road is F&A and the other side's A&R.
Yeah,
What's the,
I can't find the historical context other than it buffered the conservation
It's the
area
it's
that's,
the mountain and all that wooded area.
it's the mountain, there's some tough drainage patterns up in that area, lots of ledge. Ossipee Hill Road frequently has undermining of the washouts. There's not a defined drainage system. Many of the culverts are undersized. And so I think that's part of the rationale, looking at the physical lay of the land and the way the runoff comes tearing down there.
yeah,
So thus, if you had less density along that road, the theory is you'd have less impervious surface and you'd have a lessening of the drainage in the worst case storms. Because if you, the next time you drive up, well, you've been up and down, you all have been up and down Ossipee Hill Road, but many of the culverts are undersized and it's difficult to handle those drainage patterns.
it wasn't there.
So those are really your only alternatives to consider rezoning a portion of it. Your growth control limits your number of units, and I'm not sure you're going to see a big surge to see a lot of development. On the other hand, most of the development that's going to occur in the next decade, developers are going to be looking more and more on existing roadways, so they don't have to build
Build a
roadways,
road,
and
yeah.
they don't have to build the infrastructure.
especially when we start making them bonded.
Yeah,
Especially when we
yeah,
start making them
make 'em
bonded. You're gonna be looking for existing road.
Okay, folks?
I guess my thought is that we're setting a precedent. It's kind of quick to me. I don't see, I mean, I feel bad. But like the conservation district is there, this was F&A. If we were to even consider doing this, I think at least we should have a public hearing to see how the other people in the area feel about it. You know, if we were to consider it any further, I would think that would be at least the next step before saying, yes, we can do this, and no, we shouldn't. Because maybe there's something that we don't know out there with this conservation area that I imagine when they set up this district years ago, they had a reason for doing it this way. They wanted to put growth in one area. I think there's certain areas of Waterboro that I think would use some changes, you know, on Route 5, 202, and areas like that. But up here on Ossipee Hill,
Yeah, and if you look at the map, it's very clear that they followed that Ossipee Hill, and they kept the lower side
yeah.
A&R and the upper side.
And they put some thought into it. I think it
Yeah.
looks pretty good the way it
I
is.
think so too,
Yeah.
Myself.
I mean, you do it for one, you gotta do it for everybody else
Yeah,
down there.
yeah.
And this doubles their land value, every single one of them. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
So they'll be coming in.
What happens when you take the highlands, in the conservation zone at 10 acres, then it transitioned into a 5-acre zone, and then across the street it transitioned into a 2-acre
Makes
zone.
sense.
So there was a lot of logical planning that went into that.
I agree.
I really do too. I feel terrible.
Yeah, I feel for the woman. So I would make a motion
Go ahead.
to not approve the zone change request, and that if she wanted to pursue it, to bring it back in front of the zoning board of appeals. Or do we do town meeting? I mean, public hearing?
Public hearing.
Can she request a public hearing?
Selectmen can go forward.
I guess I wanna do- I wanna do
They're
that.
asking for our recommendation.
Just want a
and-
recommendation.
As far as I'm concerned, you can't just pick away at changing spot zoning. And it certainly makes sense the way it is.
Mhm.
And it's not like it's splitting someone's land into 2 zones or anything like that. I just think the zoning should stay as it is.
So let me clean up my,
Yeah.
Okay.
I propose to make, to deny the applicant the zoning request, zoning change request, simply put.
You're proposing that actually we not recommend the zone
Yeah,
change for this area
I
at
don't
this
think we
time.
can deny it,
Yeah, our
It's the
recommendation would be
selectmen's job.
none.
to keep it as it is.
That is okay. Is that what you're saying? Ian?
Deny a change, yes.
And I'll
Is there a
second
second on that?
it. I'll second it.
Tim will second it. That's open for discussion. Any discussion on it? All in favor of moving this back to the selectmen with our recommendation on not to change, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed? It's unanimous. We have another letter of communication from a,
Does that cover their second request? Because I don't want to moan
Selectmen
about
request.
it up on Tuesday
Planning board
night.
review.
Their second one to do to
On
review
East
the whole
Village.
area.
Well, the other part of this is the East Village area, and I think that we should say what, that was left at 2020 and comprehensive plan.
Well, that's where I thought we'd left this whole thing, was that we're waiting to get together again with the selectmen. I don't know why it gets tossed back on us like we're the seventh one, but just have
Because
another
we're
meeting
the
to do it.
zoning board. It's our job.
Huh?
It's our job.
okay, Tom,
But when we left the last time, that we were gonna all get together again to continue discussing this, because we didn't know what the 2020 was gonna do.
Tom, Frank, Tom?
It wasn't so much what the 2020 was going to do, it was that the Board of Selectmen was going to do a follow-up meeting to their January meeting. At their January meeting, when all the parties got together, it was left that they would reconvene, and then the Economic Development Committee, the 2020 Committee, the Planning Board, and the Board of Selectmen would then make a decision. We have not heard when that date has been assigned, and as soon as it is, we'll let the board know. But we haven't heard back from the selectmen as to when they want to reconvene that meeting.
But doesn't this letter make it look like we're the ones that's supposed to take the next action?
So we have that meeting, I'm sure we can take that action.
Correct.
Can the board request the selectmen set a date? I mean, spell it out for them?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, why don't I make the motion that we request the selectmen to set a date so that we can define this and get on the way. Rephrase that to something that makes it.
I'll second that.
And you'll second that? Any discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. You're gonna sweeten that up a little bit?
And Tim, just for clarity on the message, back to the Board of Selectmen, even though we have Selectman Dave here, there was that second half that Tina pointed out. You voted, or you've given a recommendation to the Selectmen about the Zoe Anderson parcel. Part of that also has to be your inclination or not inclination to look at a larger tract involving other lots.
In the same area.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's two separate issues.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the selectmen will have the clarity that you looked at both of them, rather than have it sent back to you again to look at the bigger picture.
The consensus seemed to have been that we leave it like it is, except for me, and I would rather change it all the way down.
So you can either do it formally or informally, but that should be part of the note that Tina sends back.
I think it was pretty clear that this board did not want to, didn't feel that forest and agricultural zone should possibly be changed. That's the impression that I got from
Let's
the
make
motion.
a motion to...
Would you make that another motion that,
Well, that's what we did, huh?
It's kind of the same thing for a different subject.
for the whole road?
I would make a motion that we keep the zoning in that area as it is for now. That obviously some thought went into it, and that I think it works.
Tim has made a motion. Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Judy has seconded it. Is there any discussion on that? All right. Yeah, anything you'd like to?
No, I disagree, that's okay.
Okay. All in favor of the motion to leave it as is, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed? Frank is opposed. Abstentions? None.
This is an interesting one. They're right.
I'll second. Next letter of communication we have is a letter dated 8/15 to County Waterboro Planning Board, and it's from Brian and Jean Gagnon, Gagne, regarding Barb's Way. I'm not going to read the letter into the record. It will be available for anybody who wishes to see it. And it basically goes on, and I'm going to paraphrase it real quickly, that Mr. and Mrs. Gagne feel that they own the interest in Barb's Way, and they have not given or granted any deeds or rights of passage over it for the subdivision known as Green Acres.
So that becomes a point between them and Green Acres.
It becomes a civil action between these two owners of the property. Miscellaneous, does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up?
Frank did mention to me about the road permit ordinance. I don't know if he wants to discuss it at this point, or...
I guess I've had more than a few people suggest that why don't we table it? No, that would suspend it for a year. I mean, the economy sucks, we're certainly not going to hit the limits. What's the downside of simply tabling it or suspending it for a year? I think you'd have to put some conditions on some of the development during that year. What's the downside of tabling it, suspending it for a year?
Suspending the growth ordinance for a year?
Yeah.
Are they meeting the construction needs now?
They're not even coming close on it.
Wasn't there a mechanism for taking an average, 3-year average and making that the new target?
5-year.
5-year.
And that's why the number dropped the last time.
So in a way, that'll happen automatically. You know, it'll be lower, the limit will be lower because of the economy.
But if we're not having people needing to build, I mean, if they can all get growth permits, what's the need to suspend
What
it?
what if someone with a development wanted to make 3 or 4? Instead of the 2. So we're putting people to work building houses for a year, the economy sucks. I just don't, I don't see the downside of saying, let's break. And then again, I was not an advocate of the growth.
I'm going to abstain from this because I have lots in a subdivision.
Why is it?
I have inputs, but I'm not going to vote.
But what would happen, say, if Carthage came in and, you know, decided to take advantage of that lapse and go nuts up there? Nothing wrong with that.
We'll define go nuts, and you still have to
Put in
comply with all.
500 lots?
You still have to get it through us and do the whole thing. So you'd have to put, you may have to put some conditions on what happens during that year or 2-year period.
So essentially, you'd be writing a new ordinance.
What is the benefit? What is the benefit of doing this, I guess?
Are there developers that might want to build 3 or 4 or 5 in their development? Maybe so. And what's the downside of
The
that?
downside is that somebody coming to town will be told there's no more growth ordinance has been suspended. And he'll come in with a project, and then all of a sudden he'll get slammed with growth ordinances again.
So we're just going to keep it,
Well, I'm just,
you know,
this is my opinion,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
There's 2 sides of this. I mean,
yeah.
we got the whole thing working, the whole growth permit thing is working. Either we get rid of the growth permit totally, which I'm fine with, or we keep it, which I'm fine with. But to take it in and out, move it in and out, is really messing with the whole system. There's a lot of paperwork tracking all these permits and everything else, and what ones were growth permits, what ones weren't growth permits, the ones that carried growth permits over from 6 months ago or renewed them. There's a lot to it, so by stopping it,
I
it's not
wouldn't want to
even...
do away with the thing because I was here when they voted it in.
Yeah, and I think it's good protection for the town.
Right.
Yeah, and so I'm
I'm not sure
thinking,
what we're protecting.
well, we're protecting out-of-control growth.
Well, maybe the growth permit ordinance could be changed to allow developers to have more lots in a subdivision.
To allow a number of,
What they have in
If that's
some,
what the real,
what they have in
Sure.
some towns
Yeah.
is that permits that aren't used can be reallocated at the end of the year, so
but
maybe it's...
not to somebody that already has used up their 3.
Yes, but we can change that part of it.
That's what I'm getting at, that's probably where the
And I think
change
that would make
is.
sense to
have
change
there
that
been
part of it.
issues along those lines? Have there been developers that come in and try to do
Well,
4 or
the
5
thing is, right
permits?
now, before there were a lot more subdivisions, and now a lot of those
Right.
older subdivisions have been filled up. So now there's 4 or 5 subdivisions for the 20 that are available, but they can each only get 2.
But have they been
3
in
in
for
the
more than 2? Has any of them
No,
been
but we've got someone who's already used their 2.
in? Okay,
And
that's what
they
I'm
very
wondering.
well would like to have additional ones if they were available.
And it's hard to control. I know that we had this in Dayton, and Dayton was giving out 36, and there was no limits. And 2 people went out and took all 36
Get
permits.
all, that's right.
So
there does
it's
need to
really got to
some-
be, and you're cleaned out for a year, because there's no limitation on how many permits you can get. So if a guy's got 40 lot subdivision, he takes out as many as he can get. And on the day that they would accept permits, there was a line at the door.
I sat through that in Standish.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They still bounce back, that the economy sucks, there's a lot of people out of work to rebuild a house.
Well, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen when it's down like this. But I mean, conceivably it could, I mean, there's no limit. A person can come in, I can go in tomorrow and get 13.
Yep. Well, sometimes do it with a lottery, so.
And that doesn't look good.
And then you
No.
have to remember why we had it to begin with.
Why?
When you get your school tax bill, you just remember.
Well, I don't see what our school tax bill is changed, it's still going up, so it hasn't done much there. We're the oldest state in the union, I mean, there's more old people in this state pretty obvious. We just happen to have a place, the most low-cost subdivision in the state, and we're gonna have more kids, so.
Yep.
I mean, those lots, they're still gonna have all the kids down there.
I think the year before the growth permit ordinance was enacted, there was over 100 new houses.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of housing
And then
for
it
one
went
year.
down to
It's a lot of growth for
60 the first year of the
And
growth.
where were most of them?
Lake
I
Arrowhead.
have no
Like
idea.
Arrowhead.
It was mainly because of Carthage lumber. I mean, it was 200 people in town hall, and I think it was 198 to 2 in favor
Yep,
of the
one of the
ordinance.
two.
One of the two. But I don't see any reason why
Still are, huh?
we should have unbuilt permits. You know, I mean, we've set a limit. Why should we drop below
And
that?
the problem with Lake Arrowhead isn't gonna pick up because they have their own limits
Well,
on
see,
who's
that's
down.
what I'm
They
saying.
drop theirs down
The
there.
I
limit
think they
is
have it.
fine, I think it's who gets those
Yeah.
Yes.
questions.
Yeah.
So we need a mechanism so that we're using the ones that aren't being used.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Frank says, at least someone's working, somebody's building houses.
I'd rather see people building houses. Well, something we ought to think about. I don't think.
Well, if you'd like to workshop that,
And there's another upside to this too, that if you do it that way, right now, the town, I feel, is gonna be plagued with a lot of smaller subdivisions,
Sure.
because nobody's gonna come in with a 60-lot subdivision
But they're
and
only
lay it
gonna
all
do
out.
two at a time.
Because they can only do
They're
two
not
at a
gonna
time,
live
and they
long enough
can't,
to get all the
and now they're gonna have to
houses.
bond it besides.
Yeah.
So if there was some
Part of
mechanism,
that Bonding.
yeah,
Go play with the cisterns, will you? Now, where's our cistern ordinance here?
if we changed the growth ordinance to allow exceptions in certain cases somehow, if we didn't use them all, the remaining permits could be divvied up in a fair manner, it would help encourage builders to do more cluster housing and conserve more open space in a bigger style project. You'd come in, you'd be reviewing the whole thing.
Maybe even a lottery.
Well, I would say that there's enough permits to go around, and whoever wants them should be allowed to have them, whether it's,
yeah, if we have 36 permits and we only
Yeah.
issue 20 and somebody wants 16, they should be able to come in and
I think
purchase them.
Buxton did it, I think, 3 every quarter. So you couldn't take, no one person could take out more than 3 permits every
Yeah.
quarter.
Yeah. Or
So
you
that
can do
stops
it
somebody from doing a
on a
run-up.
sliding scale type of thing during the year. If you get down to December and you've still got 30 left, then, just more and more available.
Yeah, and I think it was 3 every quarter, as long as there were still permits available.
Yeah.
And that's actually pretty workable.
I could do a workshop.
You want to workshop that? Tom, you want to kind of, we'll set up a workshop, Tina, and maybe you can come up with some mechanism to deal
Fairly
with the
distributed.
excess permits or permits that are remaining. Some language that
Maybe I could show you a couple illustrations of how unused ones get taken care of in
get,
in
put
December.
it back in the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Use some
I think that sounds like the direction that we probably should be looking at.
Okay. Which meeting would you like to handle that in?
Callan, what, we have anything going in the next,
no, the next meeting is 3 weeks away, because it's September 6th.
well, if there's nothing on the agenda of September 6th, you want to workshop that
I
at
think
that?
that's the right number, I'm sure you get a calendar.
One behind you.
7th.
7.
Okay.
So why don't I try to, before Labor Day, have something so you can look at it before the...
And if you could get it out to us electronically, it'd be great.
Say again?
Get it out to us electronically, it would be
Yes.
great,
Okay.
please.
Get it to you in advance.
How's the cistern ordinance coming?
It's not.
Plus, if you have unused permits, it's going to start dragging the average down. And when you do start to build again, you'll be giving out fewer permits. You don't use it.
Still take
Exactly.
a number of years for it to get back out.
It'd be better to try to stay, at a steady flow.
Yeah, because the last few years it's dropped dramatically.
Because hopefully things will pick up again someday. Maybe.
It'll be interesting to see the interest in that. Any new business anybody like to bring up? Tom?
Nope, no news to report at this particular
Okay.
meeting.
Actually, old business, if I could back up, did we finally get that off to the selectmen on the,
The third draft, yes.
yes, okay.
Yes. And public hearing for the wellhead is August
Tuesday.
23rd. The selectmen are doing a public hearing.
Next week, right?
This Tuesday, yeah.
How about from the selectmen, any comments back toward us in a friendly, open manner?
Not that I recall, Frank.
Okay.
Not that you call it friendly open meeting.
Hate to limit it like that.
Great. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
I would make that motion.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Opposed? We're done.